Hi you guys! Today I have a really exciting video. I just went through all of the standalone books on my physical TBR and picked out my top 10 that I'm most excited to read in 2025. There are books that are not on my physical TBR that I am more excited to pick up, but these are just the ones that I already have on my bookshelf that I keep looking at every time I look at my bookshelf. You know those certain books when you're looking at your bookshelf that your eyes just go right to them and you're like, I'm coming for you. Those are the ones that I pulled off my shelf today to share with you. I have a bunch of different genres. I have romance, horror, fantasy, thriller, historical fiction. So essentially like all my favorite genres are represented in this video. I am really excited about this. Let's just get right to it. Sorry if you guys see me messing with my hair this whole entire time. It is literally sticking to my neck so much and it's a sensory nightmare. It's so staticky. So I apologize. Even by the end of this, I might have to even just put it back because, oh my gosh, I've already put half of it back, but it's still just sticking to my neck and my face. So we'll see if I can make it through this video without putting it up. Getting right into it, the first book that I have is The 5-Star Weekend by Ellen Hildebrand. This is like a women's fiction and romance, but I would say that it's more on like the women's fiction side with probably like a subplot of romance, which is how I think basically all of Ellen Hildebrand's books are. Earlier this year, I read The Hotel Nantucket and I went into it as like a palate cleanser, but I actually really enjoyed it and I enjoyed her writing style. So I recently just did a huge Ellen Hildebrand haul, and this is on the top of my list of those Ellen Hildebrands because I've heard nothing but good things about this. So our FMC is the creator of a popular food blog and is married to Matthew, a dreamy heart surgeon. But after they get into an argument, he leaves for the airport and he's killed in a car accident. So when she hears about something called 5-Star Weekend, which is a woman who organizes a trip for her best friend from each phase of her life, her teenage years, her 20s, her 30s, and her midlife, she decides to host her own 5-star weekend in Nantucket. The husband of her childhood friend arranges for her first love to spend time with them, stirring up old feelings. And the rest is just like a bunch of vacation drama, which sounds exactly like Ellen Hildebrand, and I feel like this is just gonna suck me right in, and I'm so excited for this. This will probably most likely be a summer read because of the summer vibes that it gives. And on a very different vibe, we have The Library of the Dead by T.L. Huchu. I believe I heard about this book from Reagan and she said it was really good. Ropa dropped out of school to become a ghost talker and she now speaks to Edinburgh's dead, carrying messages to those they left behind. Until that is, the dead begin to whisper that someone is bewitching children, leaving them husks, empty of joy and life. So she feels honor-bound to investigate. She'll dice with death, discovering an occult library and a taste for hidden magic. She'll also experience dark times, for Edinburgh hides wealth of secrets and Ropa's gonna hunt them all down. Oh, and I guess this, yeah, it looks like this is a first in a series, you guys. I'm sorry. This was supposed to be for standalones only, and I had no idea that this is part of a, I don't know if it's a duology or a series or what, but sorry. So I feel like this is like thriller, mystery, fantasy. I feel like this is just a lot of different genres all put into one book, and it's all a bunch of genres that I love. So honestly, this is really intriguing to me and I'm so excited to pick it up. I was so glad that I found it at the thrift store. Next we have Tuck Everlasting by Natalie Babbitt. This was an absolute favorite of mine as a kid, especially the movie, and this is literally like 140 pages almost long. So this is probably going to be like a day's worth or 2 days worth of reading. This is a romance book. The Tuck family drinks from a magic spring and is blessed or doomed with eternal life. When 10-year-old Winnie Foster stumbles on their secret, the Tucks take her home and explain why living forever at one age is less a blessing than it might seem. Complications arise when Winnie is followed by a stranger who wants to market the spring water for fortune. So maybe it's not really a romance technically. This is so interesting. I actually have never read the back of this, and the fact that she is supposed to be 10 is really wild to me. She does not look 10. Also, in the movie, they're like definitely heavily romantic, and I just don't see that for a 10-year-old. I feel like in the movie she's like 16 or something. But anyway, I still am very excited for this one because it's super nostalgic, and I can't wait to watch the movie after reading this. Okay, next that I have on my list is The Outsider by Stephen King. This is the only Stephen King book that I have on my shelves, but really when I picked this up, I just kind of was thinking to myself about how I want to get into a bunch of Stephen King books next year. Honestly, my reading goals for next year are so unrealistic because there's just so many books that I want to get to. But this will probably be the first Stephen King that I've ever read. I believe this is horror. A living nightmare has come to Flint City as an 11-year-old boy is found brutally murdered in a local park, an unspeakable crime that rocks local law enforcement to its core as the most heinous atrocity anyone there has ever witnessed. Equally stunning is the identity of the prime suspect, Terry Maitland, one of Flint City's most popular citizens, as well as a Little League coach, English teacher, and devoted husband and father. Detective Ralph Anderson, whose son Maitland once coached, orders a quick and very public arrest. Multiple eyewitnesses and irrefutable evidence mean an ironclad case until the investigation expands and horrifying new details begin to emerge. So like thriller, I guess maybe it wouldn't be under horror. I don't really know what horror is categorized as. Like, does it have to be like spooky supernatural to be horror, or can this be like horror and thriller? I don't know. Either way, this sounds really good. I'm probably gonna be spooked, but that's okay. That's kind of what I'm going for. So next we have Cackle by Rachel Harrison. This is like a fantasy, like spooky season read, so I'm gonna see if I can save it for next Halloween, but that is so far away and I really want to pick this up, so we'll see if I can hang off until then. But this is about a woman who has a picturesque life, but her new apartment has an oddly persistent spider infestation. Then Annie meets Sophia, beautiful, charming, magnetic Sophia, who takes a special interest in Annie and wants to be her friend. She can't help but gravitate towards her, despite the fact that the rest of the townsfolk seem a little afraid of her. Sounds like she is probably most likely a witch, which I am here for. Give me all of the spookiness, all of the witches. I heard about this one from a girl on Bookstagram. I can't seem to remember her name right now, but she says that it's one of her favorites. I'll see if I can find her, and I'll put a picture of her account right here if I can find her. Next we have Book Lovers by Emily Henry. It's actually kind of funny. I feel like I'm just like really trying to give Emily Henry a good try, but when I actually think about it, out of the 3 books that I've read this year, I've only really loved one of them, and the other 2 that I read were mediocre in my opinion. So I don't know why I keep going back to her. I think it's because everyone just like raves about her so much. So I just want to try to give all of her books a try. And she did have that one that I was absolutely obsessed with, which was People We Meet on Vacation. I know it's not everyone's favorite, which is so strange to me. But anyway, obviously this is romance / women's fiction. Okay, so we have Nora, who's a cutthroat literary agent, and she meets Charlie Lastra, a bookish, brooding editor from back in the city. Yeah, I think it's just, you know, a typical romance. But I am hoping that this will just blow my socks off, just like People We Meet on Vacation did, because Happy Place and Beach Read were good, but a flop for me compared to all of the hype around them. So I'm hoping that this one lives up to the hype. The next book, again, I was so excited to find this at the thrift store, and that's Mexican Gothic by Sylvia Moreno Garcia. Again, I've heard nothing but good things about this book. Our main character gets a frantic letter from her newlywed cousin, and she heads to High Place, a distant house in the Mexican countryside, where she meets her cousin's new husband, a stranger who is both menacing and alluring, and his father, the ancient patriarch who seems fascinated by her. And the house itself begins to evade Naomi's dreams with visions of blood and doom. I love a good sentient house, guys. Naomi's only ally in this inhospitable place is the family's youngest son, but he too may be hiding a dark secret. As Naomi begins to unearth stories of violence and madness, she is slowly drawn into a terrifying yet seductive world, a world that may be impossible to escape. Some of my favorite booktubers have talked about this book. I'm pretty sure Reagan has talked about this, but also This Story Ain't Over. I forget what her name is, but she has spoke highly about this book as well. Then we have The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. I was lucky enough to find this at a little free library, and it was tucked all the way in the back and a bunch of books were covering it, so I'm so glad that I dug through it to find this. This is a historical fiction. If you didn't know, this is a very popular book. I believe this takes place in Nazi-occupied Paris, and I think it's a story of two sisters separated by years and experience, by ideals, passion, and circumstance, each embarking on their own dangerous path towards survival, love, and freedom in German-occupied, war-torn France. A heartbreakingly beautiful novel that celebrates the resilience of the human spirit and the durability of women. Oh my gosh. Okay, the description alone is gonna make me cry. Can you guys tell I'm about to get my period? Honestly, I will read anything about the durability of women because that's exactly what we are. I'm very excited for this. This is a thick one, but again, I don't think I have ever heard anybody out there on the internet say that they didn't love this. So I'm very excited for this one. 2 more to go, guys. First, I've actually had on my physical TBR for probably almost 2 years now, which is crazy because every time I look at my shelf, I look at this book and I'm like, I need to pick that up. I'm so excited to pick it up, but I just haven't yet. I think that happens a lot with books that I'm highly anticipating because I just don't want it to be over, which is exactly why I haven't picked up Throne of Glass yet, but that's a whole nother story. But anyway, that book is Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. I believe this is a romantasy, and I think it's about a circus that randomly appears. I think there's a competition aspect in this. A fierce competition is underway, a duel between 2 young magicians, Celia and Margot, who have been trained since childhood expressly for this purpose by their mercurial instructors. Unbeknownst to them, this is a game in which only one can be left standing. Amidst the high stakes, Celia and Margot soon tumble headfirst into love, setting off a domino effect of dangerous consequences and leaving the lives of everyone from the performers to the patrons hanging in the balance. This sounds like Hunger Games, but circus, and I can't think of anything better, to be honest with you. And last but not least, we have The Maid by Nita Prose. This is a thriller. I also found this at a little free library. I think I am especially excited about this book because there is neurodivergent representation with our main character. And if you guys didn't know, me and my boys and my brother are all neurodivergent. So needless to say, I was very, very excited to pick this book up because the character alone just kind of hits home. I believe this is about a hotel maid who comes across a dead body and calls the police, but the way that she is acting because of her neurodivergence, the police think that she is a suspect. And honestly, that sounds like such an exciting and interesting premise. And that's it, guys. Those are 10 books that are on the very top of my 2025 TBR that I own physically. I wish that I could just dive into this pile of books right now. I guess nothing is stopping me, but I do have other videos to film and I do have a set December TBR, so I should probably focus on that. But if you guys liked this video, I would love, if you're not already subscribed, if you could subscribe and go watch some more of my videos to help me reach my goal of making YouTube my full-time job. In December, I'm going to try and post twice a week, so we'll see how that goes, and if I start to feel burnt out, then I will probably take a break, but I'm going to try anyways. But until next time, guys, bye!